I have always and will always love video games. Video games have been such a huge part of my life, from an emotional, nostalgic, critical, and entertaining viewpoint. For years now, I've been asked what my favorite games are, and while I would just list off some games I was currently playing at the time, I can never give a definitive list. This has always made me wonder, so I finally gave in and just made a top 10 list and decided to make a YouTube video about it. Keep in mind that this list varies from great games I can never stop playing to pure nostalgia. So please, if there's something that is or isn't on this list that triggers you, there's no need to pop off and complain about it. Jesus Christ, it's just my list, bro. Anyways, here are my top 10 favorite games of all time. At number 10, this is a great example of what I said earlier. With this having both nostalgia value and just being a great game overall, it deserves to be on this list. This is a good song, by the way. I feel like everyone just kind of falls in love with some sort of game and are just absolutely obsessed with it. Like Undertale, Life is Strange, amongst other games. For me personally, that game is Until Dawn. With its memorable cast of cliche characters, great atmosphere, and countless playthroughs, it's no wonder why this is a personal favorite. I was sorely disappointed by the successor, Man of Medan. Oh my goodness. If that game was not a steaming pile of garbage, it may have replaced Until Dawn. But because Man of Medan was a mess, Until Dawn gets the number 10 spot. Now, number 9 involves a game that is fairly new, but is extremely niche. I got introduced to this series a few years back, and this game in particular is my favorite in the trilogy, which is kind of controversial, but I don't care. Now what the hell is this? I hear you ask. For those who don't know, the Danganronpa series is basically just Total Drama Island, but as an anime and with more violence. 16 students with ultimate talents are gathered in Hope's Peak Academy and are forced to kill each other if they want to make it out. Without getting too deep into the series plot, these are some of the best visual novels I have played. Now Danganronpa V3, however, I think this is the best one of the three. Its graphics and design are like no other, with its comic book feel, the best music in the series, its writing and little moments of satire, and the best Danganronpa character ever, Kaito Momota. Luminary of the stars. Maybe I'll go into more detail on this at another time. So I'm writing the script before actually getting the footage for this video, and number 8 is going to be a pain because I don't know how I'm gonna get the footage for a DS game. Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story. This is just a great game that I have heavy nostalgia for. Its charm, music, and battles is what wins me over. I just have a deep love for Bowser's Inside Story. And of course, I ate up that 3DS remaster like it was nothing, bro. It's no wonder why this game got a remaster on the 3DS. They knew that suckers like me would buy it again just for nostalgia. They knew so many Mario fans would rebuy the... Alright, now on to number 7. Let's see what game this is.
Super Mario Odyssey!
Let me get a little serious for a bit. Super Mario Odyssey came out at a great time in my life. I was simply chilling, playing the game for the first time. It was magical. Fast forward to a little later in my life and things weren't so hot. I simply just wasn't happy and was at an all-time low. Suddenly, it hit me why I love Odyssey so much. Super Mario Odyssey is designed in a way that collecting all 999 moons in the game is satisfying. Hearing that every time brings so much joy to me. That instant gratification that the game brings the player is how game developers drive a player to collect all 999 moons. Just collecting all 999 moons gave me a level of happiness that few other games give. It's impressive how a mechanic so simple can really leave an impact on the player, past the instant gratification and more so towards an experience that can't be unbeat. Number 6 is similar to Odyssey, where this is a very heavily praised entry in this... Huh? Yo, what's up? Wait, what? Huh? People don't like this game? What? Yeah, I know people don't like Skyward Sword that much, as they didn't have a good experience with the motion controls. However, when the motion controls work, they work. This is one of the best Zelda games out there. Its story rivals no others. The dungeons are some of the best in the series, and it has Groose. Like, what else do you need? I've had fond memories of playing this, and I will stand by my opinion saying that this is the best Zelda game. Alright, now we're in top 5 territory. This is the most recent game on this list. This game's experience scratched an itch that I never expected I wanted to get scratched, and showed me what true horror was. I adore Resident Evil 2. This is what made me a fan of the series and gave me an experience I will never forget. And no joke, maybe one of the scariest games out there. Yeah, on the surface, it may be too hyperbolic of me to say that, but if you go into Resident Evil 2 100% blind and see this for the first time,
Jesus, stay back!
you will never forget it. And that's what makes it one of the scariest games. Not just because of Mr. X, but the unpredictability, the ignorance of a first playthrough, and some legit great jump scares that aren't all up in your face like most horror games do nowadays. And you have a horror game that is not only a great way to start the Resident Evil series, but also a great way to define the horror genre. Alright, drastic tone shift. Number 4 was probably the hardest one to place. I have nostalgia value behind this game, but because it's a puzzle game, comparing it to other games on this list made it very awkward. After some thought, number 4 is a great spot for this game. A lot of these games are made by Japanese developers. In case you don't know, Professor Layton is a puzzle game with an engaging cast of characters and very complex but fun brain teasers, riddles, and puzzles, of course. The Layton franchise is my favorite in the genre, and the Unbound Future is my personal favorite in the series. It was my first Layton game, and I don't know, everything about it just blew me away when I first played it, when I was like 8 years old. From the tricky but smart puzzles to its story, no other game in the series has hit me as hard as Unbound Future did. Not saying the other games aren't as good as this one. I love every entry in the series, even Catriel Layton, but Unbound Future, to put it simply, is just my favorite. Number 3 is very hard to describe. You'll understand why I'm having such a hard time trying to explain this and why I love this game so much when I show it. Of course, you'll understand if you've actually played these games, but if you haven't, I'll try my best to explain. Now you see why this is so hard to describe. Animal Crossing has always felt like a second home. I know every time I boot it up, I will feel loved, comforted, and overall happy. I guess that's the best way I can describe Animal Crossing New Leaf, and why I love this game so much. But unless you play these games yourself, You may have a hard time seeing the appeal of a life simulator like Animal Crossing. It just gives players vibes that nothing else can achieve. And that's why Animal Crossing New Leaf touches the hearts of many players, including me. Oh boy, number 2. Every day I always think about which game I love more, number 2 or number 1. So here it is. This is my second favorite game of all time. Now let me explain. Persona 5 is a masterpiece. I'll go ahead and say that right now. This is like no other game I have played before. And now that I've played this, learning and bonding with each character, fighting every persona, and listening to Layer Cake 1,000 times, I can definitely say this is one of my favorite games ever. Now of course, even if it's number 2, that doesn't mean that Persona 5 is worse than my number 1 choice. I just didn't want this list to end in a tie. I love Persona 5 and my number 1 choice, both to death. But just what is number 1? Alright, let's do this. This is my favorite game of all time. Every time I hear that, I get cold, bro, because the chills are too much. What can I say about Galaxy 2 that hasn't been said already? Everything about it is just fantastic. The music, the visuals, the gameplay, the non-existent story. Combine all of that with nostalgia, way too many playthroughs, and just a love and passion for video games and Nintendo, and you get my favorite game of all time. Oh man, I can do a YouTube outro now. Let me know your personal favorite games in the comments. Maybe you'll recommend a new favorite to someone, because that's one of the best parts about being a gamer. Being a part of a community that can't rival any other. Thanks for watching, and continue to play games, gamers. God, that's cringy. Oh my god.